welcome to the Unmuted Podcast. My name is Jeff. I am the host of the podcast where we talk about all things HR, talent, HR tech, world of work, AI, everything, that there is. So we drop new episodes every week on Thursday normally. And we have a variety of different guests from mostly Canada, but, obviously other parts of the world. And these are people that are HR leaders, practitioners, talent leaders, practitioners, HR tech experts. So we have a fantastic topic today and a guest as well. And the episode is called Operating HR as a Team of One. So obviously there are a lot of companies out there that are small and they have a team of one HR person, which is challenging. And so we're going to be talking to Celine Maasland about RVZ, I always get it wrong, RVZ, which we'll talk about in a couple minutes, but she's the head of HR there at Ottawa, and we'll bring her on in just a minute. So the podcast lives on the website, GoScaleHR.com. We also have a YouTube channel as well. So if you want to subscribe to our channel, you'll get notified when there's a new episode dropped or videos. So we have our user base is starting to grow, which is nice. So they get notified. Okay, so as I mentioned, this topic is operating HR as a team of one. So I've done that before many times, and it's fun, but it's also chaotic and a little stressful at the same time. But I just want to make out, just a couple of key points, as I always do. And I say this all the time, and it may sound like a broken record, but the world of business has changed quite a bit in the last 4 or 5 years, obviously with the start of COVID. And it continues to go through some major changes. And so there's been an extraordinary heightened level of demands that have been placed on professionals and leaders, particularly in the SMB world, so small mid-sized companies, wearing multiple hats, broader scope in the responsibility, navigating more complex business and challenges. So, and I was just at an event recently, and HR leaders are saying that they're burned out, and I don't really see that changing anytime soon. But that's about the business landscape and change in HR. I think the second point is HR technology has just absolutely exploded. Particularly when it comes to AI. So obviously with the launch of chat, GPT, and then other generative AI solutions, these tools have been game changers because especially when you're in a smaller organization, you start to really scale operations with the use of these tools in sort of many different areas. So, and it really comes down to productivity, efficiency, scalability, and I guess the notion that we've always been talking about doing more with less has always been something that we've always sort of tackled. But I think now with the fusion of AI, we can really make that happen. And so the last point, that I want to make is really about the financial health of our organization, which is really taken a hit in the last couple of years. And unfortunately, HR is usually negatively impacted when there's tough business choices, that are made. We're downsizing, right-sizing, cost-cutting, and so on, which has happened everywhere during the past couple of years. And really, the outcome is we have less, resources, limited resources for HR to really focusing on creating value. And so this is really not easy for a team one. So I've just said quite a bit, as I always do. But you know what? We're going to bring in our guest. So Celine Maasland, who was a speaker at our first ever social HR camp in Ottawa a few months ago, where we talked about AI, AI. So Celine, I just want to welcome you to the...
thank you so much for having me today. I'm really excited to talk about this topic.
So I just said a whole lot of gobbledygook. So before we get into it, can you just tell us what you do?
Absolutely. So my name's Celine, and I'm the head of people and culture here at RVZ. So RVZ is a tech company based out of Ottawa. Think of Airbnb for RVs. And my role, really being the team of one, is anything employee related. So it spans, a lot of different areas of the business. I cover the hiring, onboarding, training, engagement, a little bit of everything. So it's obviously quite a big role, and has definitely evolved over the years as the company has continued to grow as well.
Yeah, I want to talk to you about that because obviously I have a couple of questions here, but Obviously technology has to be like a huge part of your strategy. And so obviously as a team of one, I don't think both of us know about the best way to succeed as a team of one is to really leverage technology in some ways. So how and I really want to hone in on AI. So how have you done this?
Yeah, I think technology has really been a huge benefit to, anyone who's a team of one. And I think especially in this HR role, I think it really has the biggest thing it's allowed me to be a little bit more strategic than before because I can really use and leverage technology to help with a lot of the more kind of routine or sort of admin tasks. And with AI specifically, that's been made even easier. So, for things like on the hiring front, there's so many AI tools that are really great at helping to kind of screen resumes or go through candidate profiles. I use a really great tool to record, transcribe, and provide notes from all my interviews, so I don't have to spend extra time afterwards furiously writing things down. There's tools that can help making information more accessible to the employees as well. So instead of having to come to me and ask for questions, information is made so much more readily available to them, whether it's through a chatbot or something like that. I've created chatbots to help me find information myself. I've tried to make one to kind of crawl through the ESA, the Employment Standards Act for questions or other various resources. So it's really about finding those ways to kind of automate a lot of those tasks that just take time. And it really speeds a lot of those things up and has really allowed me to then focus my time and my energy on really more of those strategic things and kind of being in more of that advisory role. And so that's really the biggest benefit of having these tools. And there's really so many to choose from, which is great.
So if you could put a number on percentage of your job that has changed, maybe pre-AI versus now, I don't know if you do that, but some people have said, yeah, I'm 30% more productive, today, when I was last year because of, AI. Can you do that, or do you have like
Yeah, it's a good question. It's a little bit challenging. I think it also depends
Yeah.
a little bit on periods of the year, but if I can give examples, like when we're in periods where we have a lot of roles open, just the fact of me not having to take notes after everyone saves me hours every week alone. Plus then, not having to answer all these questions, etc. It's definitely hours every week consistently. So there's definitely a lift there, and the improvement is considerable for sure.
Very interesting, because I know that there's a lot of use cases. Not only can I help with like hiring, like all parts of hiring, but also when it comes to workflows and calendar management, and task management, and notes, and like data analytics and stuff. And it feels like the robots are coming in and they're taking a job. But I mean, it's not that. But I mean, it's really interesting. So when you created your chatbot, is there a particular tool that you use? Or?
Yeah, so for most of the tools that I've used are, Capacity AI is a really big one. That's one that a number of teams in the company have used, and I use it to create kind of those assistants, it's called. So you can set up an assistant to do various things. That's the one that I use to set up the one for me, as well as the one for the employees to basically scan our whole company handbook. So I just linked it to Cassidy. Cassidy can read it, and when people go into that specific chat box and ask, how do I use my vacation days? It'll basically look through the whole handbook, find the information, and also link back to that page so people can then follow up and read more into it too. So it's been really, really helpful. Our customer teams use it to crawl our help center as well. So there's a lot of really cool use cases for that one.
Very interesting. I'm gonna have to check that out. Maybe do a demo of it. But okay, so let's shift gears a little bit too, because obviously it's not just about technology. I mean, I'm gonna go where I think it would be easy. So when we were planning this actual episode out, you mentioned the idea of building partnerships. Okay, and so what did you mean by this? And then what does it actually look like in practice?
I think the biggest thing when you're a team of one is accepting that you can't do everything. You can't be everywhere all at once. You really do have to build relationships with the other leaders and the people in the organization, and really make those into partnerships. Ultimately, you're partnering with the managers and the leaders to help them be better managers and leaders for their teams. And it's really about kind of being in that advisory position a little bit, and not doing everything yourself. You're really partnering with others to accomplish various tasks or to put forth various initiatives. I think that really is a key part of being able to succeed as a one-person team. Um, and in practice, it's really about, working together really closely, building that trust between both parties and really finding ways that you can help each other. Like a partnership goes both ways. So, they help you, you help them, and really acting in kind of lockstep and making sure that your priorities and what you're trying to do is aligned. That makes a really huge difference, and it's building that foundation of trust with the leaders so that they'll come to you and you can really help them.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to do. I mean, obviously, every leader is different, every manager is different, and I think I would agree that it's probably the most important thing that you do. So talking about, I mean, obviously, I've been in your shoes, several times in my career, and so one of the most critical things that I found, anyway, is really having top-notch time management and skills, but also being able to prioritize things. Because I find that in a small company, priorities are always changing, and the business is always changing, the strategy is always changing, and so the HR strategy and the approach have to flex sort of with it, and it tends to flex often. So, what is your system to time management? Allocating priority to
Yeah, it can definitely be challenged. Like you said, priorities change, things are pretty fluid. So you really have to be adaptable and be able to adjust with those changes. I think the biggest thing for time management is really leveraging also other tools. I keep every piece of work that I do organized in Trello. There's also platforms like Notion and others that are popular with this. And for me, it just allows me to create basically different kind of priority buckets. And I can really easily visually see, okay, what needs to be done first, what's kind of second, what's third. And I can really easily move things around on that board as those priorities might shift. So that for me, I'm very visual. That's definitely made it a lot easier to really quickly see how I'm doing, where I'm at with a lot of my tasks. And sometimes it's even just blocking off time. Like if I know that something has to be done by a specific deadline, I'll go into my calendar and I'll block off a period and I'll put myself in the room and just, hash it out, make sure that I'm really accomplishing it on time. And it's really about protecting your time. I think it's really easy, especially in HR, things get thrown at you quite often, but you really have to be able to have that kind of control and say, okay, yeah, I heard it. There's other things that take priority. I'm going to add it onto my list, but you have to give me the time to get to it. And that kind of restraint takes a little bit of practice, but you kind of really have to protect those priorities a little bit. And that's really the biggest help to be able to manage your time and actually get things done, but still remaining agile enough that you can, flex with the business too.
That's really hard to do because I know that a lot of people have a hard time getting away from their phones and social media and stuff. And so I'm actually one person. I did a workshop yesterday, and someone actually said I am a social media addict. So when she does work, like deep work or whatever she's working on, she actually puts her phone on a different floor. So if she's working from home and she's in her home office, but she puts it on the main floor, she'll put her phone in her bedroom and actually under her pillow, under the mattress, whatever. Do you also do the same thing?
I haven't quite taken it that far, but what I will do is I'll turn off my notifications. I'll put my phone or my laptop in kind of focus mode so I don't see any of the notifications. I don't see messages coming through. That definitely has helped. Put on some music or put something on that really is going to kind of put me in that zone to focus. And so far, that's worked pretty well.
Okay, good. Yeah, everyone's different, obviously. But, So how do you see, looking ahead, so how do you see the role of the solo HR professional evolving with the advancement of
Yeah, I think, kind of like I mentioned, what I've found, technology has really helped me to be a lot more strategic. And I think that's where I kind of see this going. I think as technology continues to advance, it continues to really almost eliminate some of those more tedious routine tasks that by far it makes them much easier, so that they take up less of your day-to-day workload and your day-to-day time. And so it really allows you to focus on more of those bigger initiatives, more strategic things. I've had far more time to really work with a lot of the leaders on new initiatives and projects that previously would have loved to do, but just never had the bandwidth to do it. So being able to really eliminate a lot of the admin and the routine work just frees up time to focus on kind of bigger strategy things. And I think that will really make it easier for those teams of one to operate successfully. So I think it's pretty positive. It definitely will make life a lot easier.
So you talked about Cassidy AI, you talked about Trello. So what are some of the other, like, your go-to tools that, that are part of your,
Yeah, so the one tool that I use for interviews and absolutely recommend is called MetaView. It records, transcribes, and then provides notes. I can customize the templates exactly how I want to see the notes, and it's super, super smart. It's really accurate. So that I definitely love. I also use ChatGPT, kind of the starter, but it works. It's a great resource to use as well. And then just playing with, I feel like a lot of other platforms, even kind of platforms that have been around, like Bamboo HR, et cetera, like they're always coming out with new features. You see the product releases, they're really trying to integrate AI as much as possible. So even platforms I've been using previously, I keep an eye out when they do add things. Slack has added a lot of new AI features. So it's not always about looking for new ones. It's also look at the tools you already have and see, are they adding new features and integrating some of this new, and just continuing to play with that.
So that's a really good point, because I know that the technology landscape, HR tech, is changing rapidly. And I've always said to my peers, you always have to be on top of what's really going on. But even if it's taking like a demo or two a week for like half an hour, which really, just educate yourself. I mean, I think it's really important. Okay, I have one more question for you. So if listeners can learn just one thing about what we talked about today, what is that one thing?
Yeah, I think there's definitely challenges to being a team of one, but I think there's also a lot of opportunity. I think that's the piece that I really enjoy about being solo is I'm the one that's always involved. I get to really, help guide the strategy on the HR side. I get to be involved in these conversations, and I kind of like that the buck stops with me in a sense. I like having that ownership. And to succeed, I think it's really just about remembering those kind of principles of, time management, prioritization, and delegation too, right? Again, like accepting that you can't do everything all at once, and that's fine. Just figure out the systems to kind of manage the workload. Who can you lean on in the organization? Who can you work with and empower them to help you as well? I think those are really kind of the key things to really make you successful in your own.
I think that's perfect. Thank you for that, and I think that's a great segue into. Thank you for being here. Obviously, the Unmuted podcast. We drop new episodes every week, or we try to, anyways. And you always have new guests on and HR leaders like you imparting your knowledge with them. I think that there's a lot of learning out there with people doing the actual work on the ground. So we talk about everything: HR tech, recruiting, AI, diversity, inclusion, and on and on and on. So thank you for being here, and I look forward to seeing you again.